Tuesday episode. Oh god, I got it wrong in the last video. It was only yesterday. Is this episode 7 or 6 at least? I think I said 5. I think it was wrong when I said it yesterday. So another day trip. This is in the trade up thing. So the first Tuesday episode I went to Alloa and picked up a vintage P-Bass. So that was a really good bass. It didn't really need to do that much to that. All I did was I had to replace the volume control, the pot. The one that was in it was just a bit scratchy. I tried in the video, I believe I said I'll just scoosh it with contact cleaner and it'll be fine. Contact cleaner sometimes doesn't do enough. It got to the point of, taking the bass to bits, scooshing it, turning it up and down about 100 times, and it was still just a wee bit of a crackle that I couldn't get rid of, so I just replaced it. Sod it. That's not difficult stuff. I should probably actually show you how to do these things in a video. Maybe do a wee bit of a workshop series as well, or doing simple things like replacing a pot. It doesn't obviously need, you don't really need to know what you're doing. All you need to do is you need to know how to solder, because you can, if you're clever, you do what I do. You take a photo on your phone of what it is you're taking out, because all you're doing is just replacing like for like. So I mean, a tone pot or a volume pot, I can't remember whether it was the tone or the volume that didn't work. I think it might have been the tone. There's only 2 wires going to it, so you can just, as long as you put those 2 wires in the right place and replace the pot with the right type, laughing. Yeah, so I swapped that for first I tried to sell it with an amp, which I don't think was a good idea, and then a couple of weeks later I got a call from a guy who wanted to swap it for a vintage V100 Les Paul, which I think, I don't know how widescreen it is, you can probably see it there. Yeah, so it needed, what he said was it didn't have any pots. It turned out it did have pots when I took the back off, but they'd been pushed inside the body, so it didn't have any knobs, and it didn't have any wee nuts and washers for the pots. So I put the washers and stuff on, put it back up. I did have to rewire it a little bit. There was something missing. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was pretty simple. I think it was reconnecting a couple of wires type thing. That was kind of why it didn't have pots on it, because it didn't work. So I did that. It needed a wee bit of work on the nut. The truss rod had been loosened off. So I mean, the thing was that when I first got it, it played fine up till about the 12th fret, and I hadn't really noticed until I actually fixed the wiring, and then I tried to play it up above the 12th fret, and it just fretted out immediately. So there's a wee warning for you if you're going to try a guitar and it seems to play okay. Play something above the 12th fret just to make sure that it does play up against the 12th fret. So I've now swapped that for a Yamaha SG. This is off a guy I know who is in the Led Zeppelin tribute band, which I don't think I actually put a video up of. The band I'm in, Cranking House, right at the very start, when I joined the band after a couple of weeks, the drummer said to me, we used to be a Led Zeppelin tribute band. I'm a massive John Bonham fan. We're thinking of maybe doing it again. Do you want to play guitar in it? And I just kind of went, well, I do play bass in the Sabbath tribute band, that's fine. Sabbath are my favourite band. I can play all that stuff easy. Led Zeppelin, I do obviously appreciate Led Zeppelin, but I'm not a pure massive Jimmy Page fan. I don't actually know how to play a lot of the stuff, really. I can play bits of Hummers or Led Zeppelin songs, but I don't think I can play any whole songs. So I said no, and then and then 6 months went by, or whatever it was, and it turned out they had another guitarist in line after that, who is this guy. So I'm sort of a friend of a friend type thing. I've actually met the guy before. About 2 years ago, I sold him an SX Stratocaster. Lovely guy, and he was raving about his Yamaha SG. And I was like, oh, Yamaha SG, I know of them, they're far too expensive, I can never afford one. Plus, if I'm totally honest, I just don't think they're particularly pretty guitars compared to the Washburn Wing. They're kind of similar sort of spec, and I think the Yamahas were more expensive. It's kind of like Yamaha SG is the one that would be, I said the other day in a video when I was talking about the West Tone Thunder, probably the most important Japanese guitar. And I think, and I said the only other one I can really think of that would contend with it is the Yamaha SG. So, lo and behold, a couple of days later, I get an offer for a Yamaha SG. Now, this one has Warman, I think they're Warman sort of Filtertron looking pickups in it. And I saw it and I was thinking, all right, okay. And it's got the reason that I've actually played it before. The guy brought it over because he was so chuffed with what he'd done. Is he'd found a special kind of pot. So what he had was variable coil taps, but it was a special value pottages, so that the volume control was dead smooth. And he gave me that pot, and I found it last week when I was doing the West Tone Thunder. And I thought, oh, is that pot going to do the job? And it didn't. I had another one that did do the job. So I do know I've still got it. So the only thing wrong with this Yamaha is the pot that he's talking about in his one broke, and he couldn't find another one because he'd given the other one to me 2 years ago. So it's going back in it, and I will get my variable coil split left. This guitar, when I was talking about that, I was thinking, oh, I don't know what age it is. You could maybe tell by the pickups, you know, if they were still in it. He was like, oh, you can have the, what were the words he used? I think he used ugly bastard yellow things, or ugly yellow bastards for the original pickups. So it actually comes with original pickups as well, not fitted. So they might be going back in again. I'm not sure of the age of the guitar, or he's not, because the serial number's been sanded off. The whole guitar has been stripped of its finish and is a sort of kind of looks a wee bit. It actually looks pretty good. It's a nice piece of wood, like mahogany. It's been stained. It looks a reasonably good job on it from the couple of photos I've seen. I hope it's still got Yamaha on the headstock. The photos he sent, as soon as he said Yamaha SG, and the thing is, I've actually played it because he showed it to me a couple of years ago, so I played it for 30 seconds and it was really nice. So I already know it's good. I can't remember whether it actually still says Yamaha on the headstock or not. I hope it does. So I think the original pickups might be going back in it. But I think the Warman Filtertrons, I'll have no problem using them for something. They look awesome. But I think with a guitar like that, you want to have the original pickups. I had, if you go back 6 months, before all this lockdown nonsense, about a year ago, my pal Scott gave me a shot of. I don't think he actually wanted any work done on it. I think he just wanted to show it off. He's got a late 70s SG 200 in an amazing yellowed ivory white that he lent me, just so I could do a video of it, and it was absolutely stunning. I'm really thinking of buy that. And this one is basically the same guitar, I think, but because it doesn't have a serial number, I'm going to have to do a wee bit of research to find out whether it's a Japanese one or not, because round about the early 80s, the sort of lower end Yamahas started to be made in Taiwan as opposed to Japan, which I don't think makes as much difference with Yamaha as it does with other brands, like, you know, your Washburns and Aria Pros and stuff, because they just went straight to Samick in Korea and got them to give them the designs that you would make the guitar, whereas Yamaha actually built factories. So when you buy a Yamaha guitar, it comes from a Yamaha factory as opposed to being whatever factory. So I don't think there's that much difference, although it does obviously matter to the value of the guitar, because everyone wants a Japanese one, obviously. Yeah, so as I said, this is an SG 200, so it's not the super fancy one, the one that I saw Alice Cooper a few years ago, and they had the original guitarist came on for the last 3 or 4 songs, and he was playing a Yamaha SG, like a 1000, 1500 or 2000. Those are kind of like your, you know, binding, maple top, fanciness, gold hardware, all this stuff all stuck on it. The 200's kind of like, I suppose, a wee bit like maybe a Les Paul Jr. or you know, the Special or something like that. No binding, pretty basic guitar. But it shone me on because I was watching, I probably said watch 3/4 or 7/8 of the gig, Alice Cooper, with I think 2 or 3 guitarists, and they were all using, I don't know, they didn't have amps on stage, so they all had radio mics, so they were all just running about, jumping about, mad, kind of what you expected. And on came this other guy, was his name Dennis Dunaway? I think he was in the band. I can't remember whether he was the guitarist that was there for that gig though. And he had a proper, you know, full Marshall stack and this Yamaha SG, and his sound was phenomenal. It might have been because we were right at the front, I can't remember, I don't know how we managed to get seats right at the front, but we did. And the sound was significantly twice as good. It was like listening to, you know, like a radio, and then somebody, for most of the gig, for the guitars, you know, an AM radio, and then coming on later on with a full-on expensive record player. It was like, whoa, a total other level. How much of that was how amazing he was, or whether it was his guitar, in fact he was playing through a real amp, or whether it was because he was the original guy, they just made him louder. which could have been it. It's fairly possible that he was just 20% louder when he was on than any of the other guitars were earlier on in the set. So there you go, that's a wee bit of a rambling 10 minutes. As I said, I'm going to Weems Bay. I don't think I did say that. I'm just coming up to Glasgow Airport just now. It was sunny, even when I started this video it was sunny, and now it's not. It's looking like it might be a bit minging, whereas I was thinking I was going to get some great shots down the Clyde, because although the Clyde sounds a bit boring, it's a stunning place down there. I worked in Dunoon for over a year. My dad getting the ferry across the Clyde every day. I should put it in Glasgow, the Clyde is still tidal right in the centre of Glasgow, so you can get a boat right up from the sea, but so by the time you get maybe down, I don't know, it becomes, you know, a sea loch. It's not so much a river, you know what I mean, with fresh water and stuff in it. It's salty, and by the time you get to the Erskine Bridge, it's kind of proper the sea. We used to build ships in Glasgow, so that's obviously how we used to get it up. Right, so I'm going to Greenock first. At Glasgow Airport, which is not a big airport. I was going to China to see Civet. Every airport I went to was 1,000 times bigger than Glasgow Airport, and I can't imagine what it was like for her the first time she came here. And you know, basically it's not quite, you know, 2 porter cabins and a bit of tarmac. It's a little bit more than that, but not an awful lot more. I don't know how many terminals there are, not that many. But obviously when I'm going to China, it's like Schiphol in Amsterdam, which is obviously huge, and then Beijing, which is super mega huge, and then Shenzhen, which is again absolutely massive. So really, it really puts in perspective how small Scotland is. Because I mean, Glasgow Airport's the biggest airport. There is an Edinburgh Airport, which actually I drove past last week. It's even smaller than Glasgow, and there's also Prestwick, which is, I've never actually been to, but I think it's kind of more of a, I don't know if they do commercial flights. I think it's more of a sort of army base type airport. It's also, a little bit of trivia, the only time Elvis was ever in Britain was at Prestwick Airport for a couple of hours while he was transferring flights when he was in the army. So there you go, that was the one time Elvis visited Britain. Great, there's a rainbow. That was big. Like a rainbow in the dark. It is actually quite dark, a double rainbow even. Yeah, so I'll come back on once I've got a little bit of, well, the sun, well, obviously the sun's coming out as a rainbow, but I'll come back on once for a wee bit more scenic. I think I've talked about everything I want to previous to where I'm going. Weems Bay, Yamaha SG200, doing the swappy up thing. I'm getting a little bit worried about this, the whole Trade Tuesday thing, where it's going to go. Not worried, but we're kind of getting into the territory now where there's a guitar. We're now getting guitars that I like and would seriously consider keeping. I think this SG might be pretty special because it's kind of the one I don't have. You know, as I said, it's like the most important, or the second most important Japanese guitar, and they're well renowned. The thing with Yamaha SGs is Yamaha SGs have never been cheap. Well, I'm talking about the expensive ones, you know, the SG 1000, 1500 and 2000. The fancy ones, they were never cheap. There was never a time when you could pick one of them up for 500 quid or less. You know, that just didn't happen. They've always been thousands. The reason being they were or are significantly better than Gibson Les Pauls. And it's like, I know that's like, oh, you can't say that, oh, you're slagging off Gibsons, and the other side of the rainbow now, so you got So a double rainbow there. You can see right all the way around. Is that good luck or something? So, rest to be thanked was closed again. Luckily I'm not going that way. So I know I'm always slagging off Les Pauls, but it's like, that was kind of what I was aiming for this Trade Tuesday, was I'm going to get myself a Gibson Les Paul because I'd never buy one. But they cost an awful lot more than I thought. I thought you could get like a Les Paul for like sort of 400 or 500 quid. I just don't think, that doesn't seem to be the case if you look up eBay. And it's like, it's a guitar I don't really want, so I mean, maybe, obviously if somebody's going to want to swap for something, then that's fine, but I don't know, it's like, kind of, what boils down to, I mean, okay, I don't have any £1,000, £1,500 guitars because they're too expensive, but I mean, obviously I've got enough guitars that I could sell 10 and buy that if I really wanted to, probably not even as many as 10, so 10 of the sort of cheap ones. I really don't know, there's something about me that I haven't really played a guitar that cost £1,000 that I felt was worth £1,000. My sort of cut-off point, right, once you start getting up above 300s, but that's why I'm quite often appalled by, you know, modern Epiphones and Fender, you know, Squire Classic Vibe and stuff like that, because they are, when I'm doing these guitars, they are more expensive, or they cost more than any of the guitars I own, and most of the guitars I own are significantly higher, better quality, not as desirable. I do understand, and you've got to put in the caveat that my pals are mad. He keeps sending me pictures of the guitars he likes, and every time it's basically, is that the same guitar as last time? And it's not. It's a different Gibson Les Paul Gold Top, or it's a, what ones he keeps looking at, Edwards and Orville, but it's basically just a gold Les Paul, and I'm afraid I just don't find a gold Les Paul that exciting, regardless of how, you know, obviously it's lovely, and yes, if you'd asked me what choice of colour, if I was to get a Les Paul, it would be gold, would be my third choice. My first choice would be a Les Paul Studio from the early 90s. There was a time when they did them, I've only ever seen one or two, but my Gibson SG Special is Ferrari Red, which at the time I didn't realise was significant or different, but you don't see very many Ferrari Red SGs, and it's got an ebony fingerboard. There is a Gibson that was out at the same, Les Paul at the same time, which was Ferrari Red, ebony fingerboard, so that would be really nice. But that's the one I was looking up, and I didn't see a red one on eBay, but I saw a white one, and it was £1,000. I thought it would be like 500 quid, so it was basically twice what I thought it would cost. So I'm not sure. My second choice would be white, that same model, and my third choice would be a gold top of some sort. But I think, realistically, if I'm going to go the Gibson Les Paul route, I'm not sure it's going to be the end of Trade Tuesday, because I'm not sure I'll like it. I might have to keep going after that. Yeah, but I think realistically what I'm looking at is one of those, like my pal Rob's Les Paul I did a couple of weeks ago, the ones that are kind of not finished. You know, it's like they've just got kind of black stain thrown on, or brown stain, so it'll be like the 50s or the 60s tribute Les Paul, or there's one called an LPJ, which I had a shot of once and actually really liked. I was delivering a wee Fender amp the guy bought off me, and I had to deliver it to Mary Hill, and it's raining. We've now got a bit more light. There's Dumbarton. Seems I've failed to show you Dumbarton before. So that's the quarry behind Dumbarton. There's Dumbarton there, right, just to the left of the rainbow. That's Dumbarton Castle, which used to be capital of Scotland. Yeah, so lovely. I'm going to actually taking a detour anyway. Right, I'll leave this video just now. Hey, the deal is done. Got the Yamaha, as I was, you know, it does actually still have the original logo on the front. So the guy has, John, has given me the original pickups, which I kind of knew he was going to give me. He's also found the original bridge for the guitar, so that might be quite interesting as well. I do believe that the one my pal Scott had, he had to find another bridge for it because the one that was on it was really worn, so that might be the case with this one as well, but it's got a bridge on it just now. Yeah, so sunny Weems Bay on the way back out. Yeah, I don't know, I just want to repeat the entire video I did earlier on. So here's a cut point if the first video worked. Yo, I'm back. Wee bit of time travel there. It now is Tuesday for Trade Tuesday. So here is Yamaha SG200. As you can see, it's been stripped, but it's been rather well finished. It looks pretty good. It's a lovely piece of wood, so it is. Set neck. It's also got the tuners have been replaced. They're now Grovers. So kind of no expense spared number. These pickups, I thought they were Warmans. I imagined in the photo when I originally showed it that I saw a Warman badge. I didn't, so I don't actually know what these are yet. As I said, this is kind of in a, I'm not sure anything what to do with this guitar. So there's an extra hole here. That was for where the original jack socket was, so it's got one on the end now. But this is one I was talking earlier on about, a variable coil tap. Just now this switch is a coil split. Sorry, variable coil split. So the idea with the variable coil split is when you turn it all the way down, it just kind of turns off one of the coils on each of the pickups. So you can, you know, if you roll it down, you can have none of one coil, and then you can gradually increase it up. And to do that, you need a special. Well, you can do it with a normal pot. I've done it before, but the problem with that is you kind of end up with a sort of nothing happens until you get to sort of 7, and between 7 and 10 is when the pickup goes from being, the coil goes from being off to being fully on. But if you use a much lower value one, it goes in much better. It's also a a 2-layer pot, not a dual concentric, but it's like 2 pots. That's how it can tap both at the it can split both of them at the same time. It's got a roller bridge on it as well, quite a chunky looking thing. I've honestly not had much of a chance to play this. I've kind of been putting it off until this video, because it's really nice. And the shape has totally grown on me. I will dig out I've got a Hondo, which is a sort of similar shape, which is basically a copy of this. There is a Hondo. You can get one of the, if you see a Hondo that looks vaguely like this, it might be one of the Japanese ones. They did professional level. It's a 1030 or 1080 or something it's called. I've got the base version, but there is a guitar version too. So as I said, it also came with some goodies with this particular one. This being part of it. This is an Ibanez Duotone or True Duo or something. I seem to remember them being in. They came in Ibanez S series, and what it is well, it's like a humbucker, right? But you know what a stacked single coil is? That's when the 2 coils are on top of each other. You sometimes get that, and it means it can be hum cancelling, and it keeps the power up. So this is basically a stacked single coil and a bucker as well, so you can switch it, which means that instead of, you know, completely wiping out one coil and basically halving the power of the pickup, it moves it from either being these 2 coils or this coil and the one that's in below it. So that I'm going to be interested in fun with it. And the guy said it sounds rubbish. Yeah, he said you might quite like this. It'll be interesting, and it will be interesting. I don't have a guitar in specific yet to put it in, but it'll be interesting to see how the single coil because you can put another switch on it and make it actual single coil. Because in my experience, a stacked single coil, especially with P90s, you kind of lose the bite, which kind of it stays hum cancelling though. So that's not part of this. Well, I got it as a wee freebie on top. So it came with the original Hackett yellow pickups. So I mean, these are you can't fake this sort of age. So I'm not sure whether these are going back in it yet. So I think, to me, this looks like a modern guitar. It's like that. I was talking earlier on about the Gibson tributes and stuff like that. They're kind of, you know, modern guitars kind of look like this, whereas this very much makes it 1984, which is they've actually got a serial code on the back of the pickups, even though there's nothing on the back of the headstock on this one. It normally says in here the serial number, and using the Shona, some mad Japanese emperor dating system, you can get that these are 1984 pickups. These are the same pickups that were in my pal Scott's one. It's got Phillips head screws as the pole pieces, which just makes it a little bit interesting in the 2 adjustment screws, so it's tiltable. So I've got the 2 of them. So the decision there is I'm going to do another video in a minute when I put the camera back up there to demo this guitar, and I'll swap these over. I'll find out what these pickups are when I swap them over, and I'll put the originals back in and see whether I like it or not. For me, just because it's 84, it kind of, I think, just, you know, the Hackett yellowed pickups, it kind of makes it look more of its era. I'm not sure I like the silver knobs either. I might see if I can find sort of artificially aged, that kind of colour knobs. Might just give it a little bit of make it a little bit older than it looks just now. Also came with it was the original jack socket, which again, there's this hole. Just now this is just a coil split, and this was the variable coil split. I'm not sure whether I'll reinstate that or whether I'll just put that jack socket back in the top, because I prefer a jack socket on the top. And what I would do there is I would just leave that one connected as well, so it's your choice. I suppose you could technically put it into 2 amps if you really wanted to, but if I've just connected 2 things in parallel, then that would give me, you know, the output jack on the front, which I just prefer. I think on the corner, it's like when you're sitting playing it. Not that I play sitting down very often, but it's just kind of out the way. I kind of like it on the top. The bad thing about being on the top is someone could stand on it and snap the top of the guitar, so that's not a good thing. What else do I get? This pickup switch, which is obviously your pickup switch is a pickup switch, but look at the size of this thing. It's like, talk about excessively huge. I think the reason this has been swapped out, this is the original one, it's the same as one of my pal Scott's, I checked. I think the reason it's been swapped out is because it's got a cream top on it and John wanted a silver top. This switch, to be fair, is super clicky and really responsive, whereas this one's a bit more vague. But again, for originality and the fact that it's a massive switch, I might do that. And the one last thing was just the bridge, which is not actually not worn like my pal's one was. Just a slightly smaller than a Tune-o-matic looking one. It says B2 on the back, whatever that means. So undecided, this guitar, does it stay with these toaster type pickups in it? Does it get these pickups in it and new knobs to make it look a bit older? Do these sound fantastic, and do I not want to change them? Or I'm going to have to try the original ones anyway, because I mean, I've got no problem. I could find a home for these, no problem. These might go in my Westone Prestige, would look rather good. But it's whether they go in this one or not. And it's also, it comes into the deciding whether I'm actually, this guitar is the end of the line for this particular leg of the trade thing, because it's a Yamaha SG, and although I think it is actually pretty. I love the headstock shape. It's just a little bit cheeky towards a Gibson. It's, you know, that just, it looks powerful, and it's a smashing guitar. So I'll see you in 2 seconds from up there when I move the camera. Rock on. Hey, now actually on to actually playing it. I forgot to mention I mentioned earlier on when I was in the car about this being, not sure whether it's a Taiwanese or a Japanese one, and I'm still not really any closer to that. I have seen ones on eBay from 1984, which is what the date code I got off the pickups, not these pickups, and some of them say Japan, some of them say Taiwan. The tuners have been replaced, so I'm not sure. I to be honest, I think the ones that say Yamaha Japan on them go in the Taiwanese ones as well, so it could be either. If I was, well, the serial number's kind of put into the paint, so whenever somebody stripped this, they took the serial number off the back of the headstock. I'd be inclined to maybe think you would only take that off if it didn't say Japan on it, but who knows when this was stripped. I mean, this paint job looks like it's been done relatively recently, but you don't know whether it was painted before that, or, you know, maybe this was somebody bringing it back to life, you know. I don't know, I mean, these were... Yeah, so here we go. So, bridge pickup, playing through my wee Laney VC15 Trace Elliott. I will be turning on the distortion pedal from the Boss range, Boss OS2, and also the Joyo US Dream, possibly the Rat, possibly the twin note fuzz. See how I get on. So, bridge pickup, split, both pickups. I've done absolutely nothing to this guitar. The guy even put strings on it, so proper, it's been a well-used gigging guitar. So no setup required. Both pickups in single coil. The one I'll be using. Just out of interest, to see what neck. Outer coils, there we go. And are they, is it hum cancelling? Where's my broken pickup that used to tell these things out? So it sticks to that one, it sticks to that one, so it's not the hum cancelling coils that are used. I might change that, might not change that, I don't really know. I'd be tempted to maybe move this one so it's not the south coil you listen to, it's the north coil, because it's normally a wee bit thin. Yeah, and it's a slightly nicer sound by moving that coil to there, plus it would give you the hum cancelling. Right, neck pickup, single coil. So I don't know what these pickups are yet, but they sound really good. I'm not sure they're Filtertron as such, because they're meant to sound, I know somebody's got it says they're pure weak and really weird sounding, and it's like, I don't think these are. I wonder if these are just maybe sort of normal humbuckers that have got cool covers on them, as opposed to actually being, you know, similar to the original Gretsch ones. Right, back to humbucker. So I've got a single coil, stick on something. Distortion, boss distortion. Single coil. Sounds like ZZ Top West, doesn't it? It feels absolutely gorgeous. It's got a kind of, I suppose, a similar neck to my Gibson SG. I always thought SG was a bit of a strange name for these because it's not really an SG shaped guitar. It's kind of, the shape has grown on me though, even though I would have said it was pretty hideous. I have no problem with this being a proper pro level gigging guitar, if you can find one of these. Again, the decision's not yet been made on whether this is the new Mad Malco guitar or whether it's getting traded. It's kind of always wanted a Yamaha SG. Got a lightweight guitar. I've forgotten about my luggage scales. I will give an approximate weight of it, and then I will move on. So I will be doing another video of this at some point with it's just never as easy as really just. I did have a string thing for doing this. I've just got Grovers so it can take them. 4.5 kilograms, so that's pretty heavy. I think people generally think once you get to 5, that's you in a really heavy guitar. So 4.5 is not light, but as you can see, it's a solid piece of mahogany, whatever it is. I looked at this. Did I decide whether I could see any? See, you look at that and you think, oh, there's a join. Oh. It looks like there's a join there, but there isn't, because it goes like this, so it's obviously a piece of grain. So it might very well be one piece of wood. I think it is one piece of wood. Well, it's a separate headstock thing on it. I think. Either that's just a sanding line. And there's an extra, you can see there's been an extra wee wing put on here and here, there's a wee chip at the top. But apart from that, it looks to be in fantastic condition and pretty much a solid player's guitar. This guitar's been well looked after. As I said, I know that the guy I got it off was raving about it a couple of years ago. I think he wanted I didn't actually ask him, but I think he wanted the vintage because of that Led Zeppelin band. Because you know, like a Les Paul's really what you want to do if you're going to be doing the Led Zeppelin band thing. Also, ultimate punk guitars. These were very popular. Sort of. I don't know. I still am not really sure exactly what punk is, but like kind of your Buzzcocks and the sort of early 80s. I suppose it is punk, but not safety pins through the nose and spiky hair punk. More just like these guitars were right up there, all over. If you've ever watched Top of the Pops 2, like from the 80s, when it shows you the story of 1984, which I watched a couple of weeks ago. These things come up all the time. Guy in Big Country used to play one. Again, maybe the more expensive ones, like this is quite a basic model. There's an awful lot more. There's a guy, and if you look them up on eBay, there's a guy down in the border somewhere that's got like thousands of Yamaha guitars. Well, tens of Yamaha guitars, and all really rare ones. I always thought the 200 would be the lowest one, but no, there's a 75 and a 50, and these have got, the early Les Pauls where they've got like a plastic scratch plate that takes all the pickups to make them a bit cheaper to produce, kind of that. This is basic, doesn't have any binding, any excess flab, or it's just rock guitar. This is it. The fundamentals. Sound wise, I don't know how different this would be from like the 2000, because the 2000 it's got the fancy inlays, ebony fingerboard, gold and brass and all that stuff on it. This is just bare bones, which I like the idea of. And I'll tell you, if this hadn't come with the original pickups, These would just be staying in it because they're awesome, whatever they are. I will maybe take it to bits this afternoon. I'll do a proper demo of it. This isn't really the demo of the SG, this is just my Trade Tuesday thing. So hopefully this doesn't end up being that long. I cut so much out of the, basically just put a couple of the videos I did in the car. I did so much. Should maybe start up a Patreon thing where you can, like, people are really bored, can sit and watch 2 hours of talking in the car. Kind of tried to cut it down to when I was sort of making a bit of sense rather than just rambling, all stories about my boat and all that. It's like, kind of trying to keep it sort of a guitar channel rather than being a lifestyle reality TV show thing, which is kind of going towards. But you'll skip it. Yeah, so not sure what I'm doing with this. I was thinking of keeping the Variacs, to be honest, before this swap came up, and it's like I can't keep them both. That just end Trade Tuesday, or I'm kind of due another YouTube check in about a week. It was the 22nd, so another couple of weeks there should be another YouTube check coming, so I don't know whether I just start the trade thing again. The problem I'm having is because I'm so used to dealing, and I love, the cheaper ends that are sub £200 guitars. That's where all my favourite stuff comes from. Once it starts getting up above that, and I don't really know that much about them, which might be good. One of the things that I thought was good about that was it meant I'm going to be playing guitars I wouldn't normally buy, but this is definitely in the category of ones I would buy. I don't even know what colour this used to be. I wonder if there'll be exciting to find out when I take these pickups out. One, what kind of pickups they are, and two, if there may be a wee bit of paint left in there to see what colour this was. I wonder if it was that awesome creamy white one. Again, it's like, it doesn't look, it's been well done, this sort of modern finish, and because it's one piece of wood, it's very pretty. I just think maybe the yellow pickups will maybe make it look a bit older. It kind of looks new. It's like, not that there's anything wrong with things looking new, but I kind of like the idea that, it's 1984, so it deserves to be, it's come up for 40 years old. But it plays absolutely immaculate. I mean, you can't fault it. I mean, normally, you'll pick up guitars, even the ones that I class as being sort of slightly more expensive ones. The reason that they ended up going YouTube have not been played in a decade. They've just been sitting there, whereas this one I get the impression it has been played right up to last week when I bought it. It's like, it's fighting fit, ready for action. Rock on!